Hi everybody, welcome into the Irish NFL show. It's week 10, the season is flying by. The NFL waits for nobody, not even if you're trying to win a green jacket today. Let's go Brooks. Welcome in everybody. We got Mark, we got Brian, we got Colum. Now Brian, you've been telling me all week that you want to start the show off, you want to say something, so here's your moment.
No, I just wanted to pay homage to your selections last week. You know, as we were laughing you on the show, you picked the Saints, none of us did. You picked the Jets. I think the Jets realised in the fourth quarter they were about to win a game and they would have lost Lawrence, so we can pass that one off. You picked the Dolphins. Your lock of the week was the Bills. And you even said that a team would score 34 points in the Falcons-Broncos game. Happened to be the wrong team for you, but fair play to you. You even got the numbers right. So before we start on week 9 and what we took from that, I just thought, kudos to you. You were really on the ball last week.
Well, look, Michael's Tarot readings is coming to a TG Cahir advert screen near you over the next few months. I have plenty of bold predictions for today, but let's just cast our minds back to what Brian just said there now. Week 9. Starting with you, Colin. What was your standout from last week? Another crazy week in the NFL.
Yeah, another crazy week. Plenty of moments, but for me, I'm going to continue what I talked about before in terms of Dalvin Cook and just like what he's doing. He has put the entire Vikings franchise on his back, and he is just running all over teams. He was phenomenal against the Lions last week. He was phenomenal against the Packers the week before. He looks like a man on a mission, and he has absolutely transformed the Vikings season. We'll talk a little bit about them going to the Bears. So many kind of local rivalries in the last couple of weeks, but he shows the value of a running back who's in form in this league. We talk about it more and more about a passing league, etc., etc. Yeah, all that's true. But if you have a guy who's in form, who can run like him, wow.
Brian, what about yourself? Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the same manner as last week as well. It's the Miami Dolphins for me. A lot of people were eyeing the Cardinals all season, and majority expected, with the exception of yourself, Michael, for the Cardinals to win. And Tua, who we had said didn't really play too well against the Rams, albeit they won, could have proved last week that maybe he is the man for the future. And, he went gung-ho with Murray in terms of all through the game. Then the Dolphins, 10 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, pulled away. Flores doing a great job, and they're going for 5 in a row this week against the Chargers. So in all likelihood, what will happen is the Chargers will drive down at the end and not put it in, or else they'll lose with the last second to a Miami touchdown. But look, as I said last week, where the Dolphins last year were tanking, they're certainly not tanking this year. They're going for 5 in a row, and they're well in with a chance of that division.
Talking about good predictions and good things to say. Now, Mark, you came out with a number of great one-liners last week. I'm really excited to hear what your Week 9 review is.
Well, actually, I love Brian Paul brings up Tua, because it was Tua and Kyler last week. It's Tua and Justin this week. And anytime I say Justin, I can't help but think of JT, late 90s, early noughties kind of pop music. And, it's true, because in Week 9, the one big blowout we saw that wasn't expected to be a blowout, was, of course, the Saints against the Bucs. 38-3, absolutely annihilating them. I mean, you absolutely called the Saints to win it, Michael, and a number of people did. Not anyone on any NFL pre-game show, however, which the Saints were very keen to point out after the fact. But nobody expected that type of blowout. It is Tom Brady's worst ever professional defeat. I don't even think he lost by that much when he was a starter at Michigan either. So you think about that, he's been in the NFL 20 years and he's never lost by that amount. So, it's like we're back to 2000 and the Bucs were like Christina and they said, "Come on over, baby," to the Saints. And the Saints were like Britney and they say, "Oops, I did it again." Play with your heart, and he got lost in the game. It was stunning and it was unexpected, but the Saints really got their mojo back. And in fairness, the serious point I want to make is NFC contenders. Like, there is no dominant force in it. Every single team has frailties, has weaknesses. You can see them being beaten on a game-by-game basis. And the Saints, then keep the platform with Michael Thomas back, move very strongly into prime contender. But everyone else, whether it's the Seahawks defense, whether it's the Packers' ability sometimes to throw in an odd clunker of a game, it's going to be fascinating in the NFC in terms of how that's all going to pan out.
Love it. And I guess for myself, it's going on, just sort of going on what Mark said there, saying there's no real contender in the NFC. There's a hell of a contender in the AFC, boys. And I said it the first show, the Buffalo Bills, gentlemen. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I'm actually going to go up now. I think they get to the Super Bowl, lads. I really do. Beating the Seahawks 44-34. Every option on that field is working for them. I think they're incredible. Incredible. And really quickly, Tom Brady. Ha! So let's just swiftly move on with there. The good thing,
Michael, let's not forget, James Winston got to eat a W after all.
Lovely. Hopefully it just keeps going this week. I mean, I would love to see that happen again in some form. Sorry, Brady Patriots fans. Please like, subscribe as well while you're watching it as well. NFL Week 10 is a little bit different, lads, to what we go through and talking about our picks for the games. But there's only 5 early games because of the Masters. Obviously, very important to anybody that loves golf or anybody that is very good at watching golf, betting in golf right here. It's all good. But that means we've got a real slate of late games, and CBS are really banking in the States of those games finishing up beforehand. It'd be really funny if it didn't, but hopefully it does for our own sake. So it's a pretty packed Sunday, and I actually personally love the fact that these late games are on. So it's going to be good. Let's start with the early game today.
Well, Mike,
sorry, you call it.
Before we do that, Thursday night game, because we've got to call out one key thing here. Phillip Rivers last weekend got tackled by a ghost on the interception return. I mean, like, I almost wanted the Ghostbusters theme tune to play for him. And then,
I actually forgot there was a game. I actually forgot about that. You know?
So more like he was jumping onto a sunbed, Mark.
It was just hilarious. It was like kind of like this phase falling down and then trying to grasp at the defender as he was jumping over his head. But like, I mean, from that ignominy, they certainly bounced back strongly on Thursday night. Really, tight game with the Titans up till halftime. Nip and tuck, really for dominance in the AFC South. But then afterwards, the Colts, pulled away, and the price of special teams. A 17-yard punt and a block punt will lose you many, many games, and so it proved for the Titans. So, interesting time.
34-17. Colts moved 6-3. Titans 6-3 as well. So the Colts scored one less point than Phillip Rivers has children, gentlemen. And so 34-17. I thought that would get more laughs. I love Phillip Rivers. Anyway, going from 2 good teams to 2 iffy teams. I'll say no more. The 3-4-1 Eagles are playing the 2-7 Giants at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock tonight. Colum, who's going to win this?
Don't let me down.
Give us your preview, man.
I got to disappoint Brian again because the Giants. Last week playing against the Washington team, and Brian rightly said that they don't lose to the Washington team, but they do lose to everybody else. And Carson Wentz has got some toys back, so the Giants are 25th against the pass. I expect the Eagles to do enough and move to 4-4, and which will actually put them in control of that division.
Do you know who's thrown more interceptions than Daniel Jones this year? Carson Wentz. Do you know who has more sacks than Daniel Jones? Carson Wentz. They're averaging 4 sacks a game. The Giants defense has played really well. 5 turnovers last week doesn't reflect a really good game for the defense because of that 1 touchdown they gave away to McLaren. But look, I'm going to Giants. You won't be surprised. We've lost 8 in a row to the Eagles. It has to come to an end at some stage. And the reality is, if we do win this game, we're only a half-point game back. So the progress is happening. And we're
saying this every week, man.
But we're still in our contention because of the division being so bad. But honestly, I genuinely think the Giants are going to win this week. I'm really confident.
Until it's mathematically impossible, Brian O'Leary will always find a way. Not only win it, but they'll win the Super Bowl somehow as well. On top of that,
I already have me theories, Mark. They're ready.
You're not going to disappoint Brian. The Giants do enough disappointing for him. The reality this week is the Eagles are getting healthier and healthier, and especially on their own line. If I want to continue the 90s themes, It's not even bad players that are coming back. It's no scrubs that are coming back. These are serious Pro Bowlers that are coming back. Lane Johnson is hopeful to play today, obviously coming back from injury periods. They've got Semola, their key guard there. Peters was back last week and obviously is going to play this week. I mean, that's rounding into shape. And 100%, I made the joke the other week about the fact that, the offensive line clearly had Wentz sleep with their wives because they were trying to get him killed. It wasn't necessarily that, but they were playing with so many combinations and so many backups. Firming that up will help. Since the last game they played against the Giants, which in fairness, Brian, I said at the time, the Giants should have won, except for that absolute dime that went through at the end. The Eagles have got Sanders back, Jeffrey back, Ragnar back. Too many weapons, too much. Giants will play it tough. They've been doing it all season, but they won't have enough Eagles to win.
I, for a laugh, went whatever and started Daniel Jones last week in fantasy and still beat Colum. So I just want to get that out there right now. That was a good week. I'm going to drop him this week, though. I actually think this is going to be an interesting game, lads. I think that Giants defense is good. I think Carson Wentz is nowhere near as good as people think he is. I mean, Daniel Jones isn't special, so I would rate Carson Wentz a bit better than that there. I can see people's real offense both under and beside me here right now, so I'm going to move on swiftly. Devonta Freeman's out for the Giants. I am going to pick up right now as we speak. I'm going to pick up Wayne Gallman at running back. I'm going to start him this week. I have the Giants winning by like a field goal. I think they'll win. I think the NFC East is a complete another shit show. I shouldn't be swearing in this program, but I think it is. I apologize. It's just a disaster. I'm just going to repeat that. I think the NFC East is a complete disaster. And I think the Giants will win because of that. They're going 3-7. And surely Brian will start booking the flights to Tampa at that point.
Absolutely. If we can get out of the country, that's it.
Who knows? I mean,
Train 7 going to the boy with the Bengals to play next. Oh my God, who knows? Right, we go.
While you mentioned Tampa, something we should touch on. They've obviously announced now that they're going to have at least, I think was it 15,000 people for the Super Bowl. They've kind of announced that's the plan, 15,000. I said this in passing to Brian on the phone the other day. It's like there is no chance there's going to be any type of atmosphere at that, because all of those tickets are going to go to sponsors, all those tickets are going to go to media, and friends of the 32 teams around the NFL. I mean, I know the Super Bowl's already a weird environment the best of times, but I'm wondering, is there going to be any fans of NFL over the relevant teams in it? So I don't know. That's been bugging me a lot. It's like, really? Are you going to have enough? We'll see.
They'll get a very small percentage, and there'll be a random draw for season ticket holders, and then people may not want to travel anyway because of the current climate in the country. So.
We could be talking about 100 people. It's terrible.
Yeah,
really.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So what are you suggesting, Mark? Just don't fill it.
I just wanted to moan, basically. Okay. Yeah. Feel better. Thanks.
Don't worry, we haven't hit the Patriots game. You can moan then.
I actually think Mark brought up a really good point. I don't know if you want to say anything, Colum, in regards to this. I have 3 words in relation to what Mark said. Joe Biden lockdown. There won't be any fans at the Super Bowl if it happens.
Oh,
I hope it happens.
There will be.
He's gonna lock it down. January the 21st. It's gone. It's over. Which is why I'm worried for like the NBA season. So I mean, do you disagree with that, Colum? Yeah.
I think there will be fans, but I think it is always a bit weird at the Super Bowl anyway. It's not like it's the dog pound or the old Raiders black hole or anything like that. It's not even the South Stands at Mile High. So a fittingly weird Super Bowl to end a fittingly weird season.
It will be interesting.
Michael, just
go ahead.
If you told me last July when we were concerned about having the season at all that we'd watch a Super Bowl with no one in it, I think we all would have accepted that. So.
Take it and run, as we say. I'm sure the Americans will find a way to put 70,000 42-inch TVs and everyone going like that there as well. It'll be interesting to watch the Bills against the Giants anyway, lads. So I mean, we'll come back to that in a few months. 1-7. Wow, Jesus, the 1-7 Jacksonville Jaguars at the 6-2 Green Bay Packers. Colum, go on.
The Packers are winning this. I still would expect Robinson to have decent yards because the Packers can't defend the run. But while Luton was probably better than we expected last week, he still really struggled when put under pressure. So I would expect the Packers to take advantage of that, and yeah, they're going to march on here.
This is one I won't be spending too much time on. Packers will win. I expect the Packers to even cover the handicap. Just can't see any way, shape, or form. It'll be similar to last week's game against the 49ers. Packers will ace through it, and I imagine Rodgers will be on the sideline come the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Jags and the Panthers this season, they've been two teams that probably have exceeded the very, very, very low expectations that have been set for them. But this isn't even going to be close. Aaron Rodgers is 15-2 when he's a 12-point or more favorite in a game, and this is going to make it 16-2 quite comfortably.
I'm actually not surprised. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised that Sky Sports haven't put the 1-7 Jaguars on the London Jaguars. And honestly, Packers by 28.
After last week, Michael, I was waiting for you to say Jags there, by the way. But,
by 34. But Packers by 28. I think that's respected. I think the final score will be 38-10. There you go. There's your don't bet on this week. I haven't got my lock of the week yet. 2-6 football team at the 3-5 Detroit Lions. Interesting matchup, Colum. I think that actually happened in London, was it, before? No? Might be wrong.
Interesting. I'm wondering where the interest comes from because I'm struggling to see anything in this game. My God, there is nothing. The Lions will win it because they're in with the slimmest potential possibility of a playoff position. But really, this is two pretty poor teams facing off against one another.
Alex Smith's 5-0 against the Lions, funny enough, in his career, but I don't see that lasting this weekend. I think the Lions will win. And yeah, there is interest, Colum, because to keep that giant stream alive, we need those Washington speed. So it's the Lions for me. Come on, the Lions.
The NFC East podcast, Mark. The NFC East podcast.
I mean, last week I had an allusion to the fact that Washington doesn't know what they're doing. They're piecing together bits of quarterbacks. I mean, after Carl Allen's horrific injury, I mean, they might actually physically be doing that now between himself, Alex Smith, etc. Look, that was a horrific injury. Obviously, hope he gets well. It is, however, great to see Alex Smith back leading a team. I think he's just clearly going to be the NFL Comeback Player of the Year for the fact that he took another snap, frankly, more than anything. Interesting for me, it's like an AP reunion tour. He played the Vikings last week. He's playing the Washington this week, his old teams. But the Lions, stat of the week for me, 2-9 at home over the last two seasons. Along with the Jets, the only team who hasn't won at home this season. I'm going to be controversial and go with the Washington football team to find a way. To annoy Brian.
Thanks for stealing my thunder, Mark. I'm not going to look so bad now. I think Detroit are just, Detroit will win on Thanksgiving, okay? They'll not win the next 2 weeks. Antonio Gibson is a decent running back. He'll probably get like 90 yards tomorrow. I just don't trust, you wouldn't trust Matthew Stafford with your life. So in that sense, while there's no basis for that, I think Washington, who are just due a win, I think they'll go 3-6, and the NFC East will start to get interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. So I've got the Giants to win. I've got Washington to win as well. So nice. Yeah, good start. And plenty of interest in that game. Matt Stafford, P. Loads of stuff we just brought it there now. Talking about interesting. Well, this is around the week where JJ Watt lads should get injured for the season because he's barely completed the season. Well, week 10 now. The 2-6 Texans. I'm really sorry if he gets injured. Please do not screen grab that. 2-6 Texans at the 5-3 Cleveland Browns. Now, Colin, we're talking about interest. I mean, are you interested in that game?
It's a better game than what went previously. Sure. The Texans can't defend the run. They're giving up 160 yards on average. The Browns look like that Nick Chubb should be back, when he was playing, the run game was excellent. So I imagine they will run all over the Texans, but the Texans do in Deshaun have an outstanding QB. I reckon there'll be plenty of points in this one, but I do think the Browns come away with the win.
Yeah, Colum's kind of stole my thunder there. Most of the week, I've been considering this game potentially as the upset of the week. I wouldn't necessarily say it's an upset because the Texans are a good side. But you're right, Colum, to your point. You look at, they're giving up an average 160 yards a game, and Chubb is going to come back healthy. And you've still got Kareem Hunt and even got the other guy, Johnson, who did really well against the Cowboys a few weeks. So they've got 3 really good running backs. You might take the pressure off Mayfield. So, yeah, I think the Browns will win. Texans might play well, but I imagine the Browns will pull away in the fourth.
It's funny for me, if you gave any sane person a choice, I think, between Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield, they would pick Deshaun Watson hand over fist. But given the choice between these two teams, the old poem by Robert Frost, "Stop in My Woods on a Snowy Evening," always springs to mind in this regard, because you remember the author in that took the road less traveled when he came to a fork in the road. And these two teams have come to the fork of, do we go good or bad? And one team has definitely taken the road that goes bad. And the other team, surprisingly, not the one you'd expect, has taken the road that says good. And the Browns have something going. The Browns are, they're not going to make the Super Bowl. Don't worry, I'm not going to be as extreme as me. But they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make a wild card. And they are going to win this weekend for all the reasons the guys outlined. Browns to win it comfortably.
Yeah, in perfect 2020 fashion, the Browns have a winning record. They actually look better without Odell Beckham, which is funny in that sense. I mean, the Texans, the Browns will win.
They actually have a very good side, the Texans, all the same, but they've had a really tough schedule. I mean, the first few weeks, Steelers, Ravens.
Yeah.
But
Packers in there,
Like, Bill O'Brien is on the doomsday clock already. Like, I mean, he's going to get fired at some point. Whether at the end of the season or during the season, he's gone. Like, there is no doubt in my mind about that. When during the trade window you let the other 31 teams know that other than 5 linchpins, everyone else is available for offers, how do you think his team is going to react to that? Because that's been reported multiple occasions. They read the newspapers or their tablets, whichever you like. I mean, do you think he's really going to engender a real battle-hardened spirit now to turn it around? They're going to continue to spiral, and they will be run to Trevor Lawrence.
Mark.
I agree.
Bill O'Brien is gone. Did you have a few weeks off?
Yeah.
I'm thinking
it's Romeo Cornell, your pal.
Oh man, no, sorry guys. I was thinking of Matt Patricia being gone in the Lions as well. Sorry, that's who's got to go next. But yeah, O'Brien's gone, Cornell's gone. It's all fucking going downhill. Sorry.
the language decision. What time are we putting this out at 12 o'clock?
I actually said I agree. Like, in regards to what he was saying with Trevor Lawrence, I actually think the Texans will just bomb. They'll finish like 2 and whatever, or maybe 3 and whatever.
They don't have a first-round pick, guys, either, because it's going to the Dolphins. So they're rightly snookered. So if they want to bomb away, the Dolphins are delighted. Actually, there's a theory for you. Sorry, just going back to the Dolphins. I read earlier in the week, one of the theories where they felt they really needed to get 2 in and see if he's good enough is because they were looking at the situation with the Texans and the fact that they may be top 2, top 3, top 5 certainly in the drafts. And then they have a situation where they might actually end up with an opportunity to use some of the draft capital that they put together and move up for Lawrence. And now they need to really figure out, is 2 the man? There you go.
Just
tell you loads tonight, Mark.
just obviously confirm here, lads. Like, I think the Browns obviously are going to win, as I said previously. We're in week 10. JJ Watt won't see past week 13. He's a great player. He's just a disaster when it comes to injuries. I mean, I think he missed a couple of years ago. He was out for the year, or out until a miraculous recovery in their yearly or annual wildcard game on ESPN against Buffalo. He just turned up. He just gets injured all the time, and it really pisses me off, to be honest with you, because yes, Texans are stacked sometimes with players, but no, I think they'll tank. They're not getting number 1 pick, obviously, but Bill O'Brien, we love you. It's all good. Let's just move on swiftly at that point. 6-3 Brady Bucks against the Carolina Panthers. What do you think, boys? Carolina's 3-6. Oof.
The Panthers have, and Mark was alluding to this earlier. Like they have been better than we probably expected, given what they had, but the expectations were meager. Now, Christian McCaffrey is going to be out, which lowers expectations even further. And look, when Brady has a bad game, when he loses, we all know what happens to the next team he has to face. So I think this is going to be pretty handy for the Bucs.
If McCaffrey was playing, I honestly would be leaning towards the Panthers, having seen how well they played last week. But he's gone now with a shoulder injury, and without him, it's just a different team. And to your point, Brady will want to. He has a point to prove after last week. So yeah, I think the Bucs will win comfortably.
We've had a bit of mention of politics earlier on. George W. Bush came up with some absolute gems during his presidency, but one that I always love, if you want to YouTube a bit of a laugh, is a speech he's giving. And he said, there's this expression we have in Tennessee. Well, we have in Texas. I'm sure you have in Tennessee as well. Fool me once, shame on you. And at that moment, there's this dawning realization on his face about what he's about to say next, and the realization that he can't say that. So he goes, fool me once, shame on you. A fooled man can't get fooled again, and just move on. And it always brings to mind, like, the Brady and the Bucs got fooled last week. They didn't perform very well. They won't get fooled against the Panthers. Key fact, really, is actually going to be the Bucs defense. They've already played the Panthers in week 2, and they hounded Teddy Bridgewater, sacked him 5 times, pressured him 15, 2 interceptions. You know, they'll get the offense back on track, but the defense will be the defining factor.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what Brian said, obviously, as well, about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he would turn a turd into a chippy or something. Do you know what I mean? The guy's an absolute genius. I have the Bucs going 1 and done in the playoffs, but I think they'll win a game where half of America will be watching the Masters anyway. So that game's live in Sky at 6:00 tonight. And yeah.
Well, if they go 1 and done in the playoffs, that means they've lost to the Giants, because we're going to win the East and play 5th seed.
On ESPN. On that Saturday evening game when nobody watches. Right, let's get up to this next slot. Obviously, we said at the start the CBS are banking on the Masters being over. It'd be really funny if it wasn't, and they somehow moved. I know it's not going to happen, because Colum had this conversation beforehand, but it'd be hilarious if they held the NFL off until it was over, because a lot of these late games are scheduled for CBS coverage in the States, so it will be interesting to see what happens. Let's just jump into it. We got the 2-6. My team tweets too early about a touchdown Chargers against the 1976 Miami Dolphins 5-3. Colum, a classic game in the making here.
Well, this is an interesting game, because you have pick 5 going against pick 6, and the 2 young QBs. For me, the interesting thing is there are only 2 teams in the NFL who've lost by less than 7, and one of those is the Steelers, because they haven't lost, and the other is the Chargers, who just find ways to lose, new ways every single week. I mean, it's amazing. Like, it's worth watching them just to see what is going to happen this week. But this is where it ends, because I think the Chargers are actually going to win this. I think while Tua was outstanding last week, they just the running game, they don't have it. They have another injury at wide receiver, and I think that the Chargers, Herbert has been playing so well that he has to, it will pay off. So for me, the Chargers win what could be one of the more exciting games this weekend.
Yeah, Preston Williams is that wide receiver who's out. And to the point, yeah, the running game is struggling, which means Tua is starting to get out there with run pass options and run for his life at times, especially last week against the Cardinals. But like, how can you trust the Chargers at this stage? 4 games in a row where they've found ways to lose. Even when they score a winning touchdown, they can't get the touchdown. 3 or 4 years ago, that is a touchdown, but unfortunately the rules have changed since. But no, I'm going to stick on the Dolphins bandwagon. I think, to your point, it'll be a high-scoring game, but I think the Dolphins come out on the right side of it.
Yeah, to be honest, I almost want to say everything that Colum said times 2 because it is 100% like Tua versus Justin. Exciting times in that regard. Equally, the Chargers, the 6 losses all by 1 score is just it's almost unprecedented. But it's certainly a fascinating factor. However, I do love Justin Herbert. As I've said before, I think he throws the prettiest deep ball in the NFL. I think he's got the skills. I think he's got the capability. And I want to see Anthony Lynn keep his job. I think he's an underrated coach who has had terrible luck with injuries and terrible luck with his team seeming to be cursed by some kind of strange witch, hex, bad luck of some nature. Goes against all sense and reason, but I'm equally with Colum. I'm on the Chargers this weekend.
Are we ready for Michael's lock of the week time? Are we ready? Obviously, Tua going up against Herbert. 2 great young quarterbacks. It's amazing in the AFC West column when you actually pick the right quarterback, what can happen in the short term and the long term. I don't think Anthony Lynn's the answer for that Chargers team. I think there's a lot of question marks there on both sides of the ball while Herbert's great. Tua looks good. Tua looks really good. Tua looks so good that I am going to start Mike Gesicki in a tight end. Tua looks so good that guys like Devontae Parker are going to get 2 or 3 touchdowns tonight. My lock of the week is the Dolphins against the Chargers. I think the Dolphins could win by 10. Seriously. Silence.
It's funny if you're asking me which quarterback I would actually prefer to have. By and large, I think most people would say it's Herbert. Despite the whole Tua going ahead of him. But yeah. He's on a better team, and that's the difference. So yeah, I agree with you, Michael.
And I'm not just saying it because I need me and Colum need the Chargers to lose, but that's a whole different. Talking about that, there. Let's just move on very quickly.
Whoa, hang on. You need the Dolphins to lose because you're not getting into that wildcard slot as a Broncos fan unless one of those teams that are currently 5-3 are slipping back.
I think the first half of that first sentence, he's got a spot on. We're not getting into that wild card spot. All right. I am not going to sit here and be like,
that's quite the change from winning by 17 points last week.
34. Right. Anyway.
A few days will do it.
I had these images in my head, Colum, 18 months ago or 24 months ago. I was like, here, we're playing in Vegas once a year. Happy days. We're landing in the Dublin airport. We're going to Heathrow, whatever. We're getting into Vegas. And the Broncos are going to play the Raiders. I'm sure there's nobody there tonight. So Broncos 3-5 against the 5-3 Oakland, San Diego, San Antonio, Las Vegas Raiders, Colum. What do you think?
We tend to beat the Raiders in Mile High, and we tend to lose to the Raiders when we have to play them in their home patch. I think, and I come back to this week in, week out, playing with a chip on your shoulder in this league is makes a huge difference. I would expect Devontae Booker to put up numbers. Last week he did things we never saw him do while wearing a Broncos jersey. Nelson Aguilar is another guy who, playing with a chip on his shoulder, and the Broncos are missing Mike Purcell really and struggling against the run. Shelby Harris is also out. So I would expect Jacobs to put up serious yards. The Broncos come to life in the fourth quarter. And I know it's actually gotten picked up a bit this week. TJ Carpenter said that the Broncos in the first half looked like what the coaches want them to do. Broncos in the second half, it looks like, what Drew Lock wants to do. So when you leave Drew off the leash, he seems to play better in kind of almost like street football pickup games. I would love to see us get the win against the Raiders. It's probably the most bitter of the rivalries in the division. But I just can't see it. I think the Raiders will have enough to win it. It'll be a one-score game, but the Raiders will win it.
Colin, I feel your pain. I can tell you exactly what the problem there is. His name is Pat Shermer. your offensive coordinator. Yeah, I've lived through 2 years of him. So welcome to my world. Yeah, you may have won 12 of the last 17, like you touched on, but now it's the Raiders for me. And I'm surprised from a betting point of view, the line is now down to 3.5, having started at 5.5. So the money seems to be coming for the Broncos, but I don't see why. I think the Raiders are surprising me because I didn't pick them to go to playoffs, and their mark was quite high on them. But I think they'll have enough to win the game, and yeah, I think they'll win by a touchdown.
Yeah. Pat Shermer's damaged the Browns, the Giants, and now the Broncos. I think in later years he'll come out. He's been a secret mole planted by Bill Belichick. What we're dealing with actually is two teams and coaches who are faded, washed up, harking back to bygone eras and bygone days, really just not that good anymore. And I mean, that's just Tyrone and Kerry. But the Raiders and the Broncos also fall into that category. Look, first round pick, we talked about Tua and Justin the last game. Ruggs and Judy in this game, and talking about high-picked wide receivers, they'll both want to put on a show and prove that one is better than the other. But for me, the Raiders have too much. It's the Raiders.
What do I even say to that? I mean, Jesus. Right. The Raiders are like the cork of the NFL. They've got their big, shiny new ground, or it's been done up, Parky Quay, for example. I am, as a Broncos fan, I am very concerned about this game. Not because, the Raiders are they're non-special at all, but the Broncos are non-special. And you're talking there about Pat Shermer. I think Pat Shermer's got about 7 to 14 days left in Denver before he's out. The Broncos over the last 3 to 4 weeks has been shocking. Like the performance in the first three quarters has been shocking. Actually borderline disgusting in some instances until the fans all get happy in the fourth. Oh, we're coming back. Oh, we just lost. Or yeah, we won. No, this has been going on too long. Like it happened last year against the Raiders when Shelby Harris saved the day at the end, and they almost shot themselves in the foot for the onside kick after. I think we tweeted that out earlier on. I think the Raiders will win comfortably. I don't want to say by more than 7, but I worry for our defense, and I worry especially for Drew Lock, because his line will not protect him against that team. It could be 14. And hopefully at that point, the Masters will be over tonight. 7-2 Super Bowl bound Buffalo Bills at the 5-3 Arizona Cardinals. I mean, this is easy, isn't it? What a game. What a game. Jesus. What a game. Colum, go for it.
Yeah, this is a really good game in terms of Murray versus Allen. And look, Josh Allen he's what the Broncos should look at, right? The Bills made a plan. They went and got an offensive coordinator. Then they got a QB. They invested in a QB. They built around him. They played to his strengths. They built the line. They gave him weapons. They gave him experience. They're being rewarded for it now, and rightly so, because they planned and executed. They didn't just pick and choose. They didn't bring in different offensive coordinators here and there. They went with it, and I think that will continue. They're one of the healthiest teams in the league. I think the Cardinals defense, we know all about Vance Joseph. I think that the numbers look very shiny at the moment. I don't think they have played, really, I suppose a lot of high caliber teams. You saw what the Dolphins did last week, and I think the Bills just seem to, when they can do it, and they showed it against the Seahawks last week. They're a joy to behold on offense. I expect them to win this one.
Michael, when you said we weren't getting a special guest on this week, I didn't realize we were getting Sean McDermott on. Did you not hear him there calling him with all the Bills stuff? In a way, these two teams are quite similar. People have their doubts whether the Bills are good enough to go to the playoffs and make a real push in the playoffs. I think at this stage, we'd all agree they're going to go to the playoffs, but whether they'll make strides in the playoffs. And then people this year are very high on the Cardinals to make the playoffs. But the Cards have lost at home to the Lions. They've lost at home to the Dolphins. I'm expecting to lose at home to the Bills. And how the Cardinals are favourites in this game by 2.5 points to me, I just don't get it because the Bills have been one of the best teams in the league to date. They had a bit of an off few weeks where they lost to the Chiefs and they lost to the Titans. But if you look at those two teams, there is a possibility both of them. Certainly one of them will go to the Super Bowl. And then Titans went to the championship game last year. So the Bills, they haven't disgraced themselves in those defeats, and I think the Bills will win. But I do see it as another high-scoring game because that's what you get when you watch the Cards at home. It'll be a high-scoring game, and I think the Bills will win.
This is only one or two games this weekend, actually, that has both teams with winning records. So we've only got two games in the whole slate which are featured both teams winning records. So the quality might be in question a little bit this weekend. I'll just admit something. I love Larry Fitzgerald. I don't think I've ever admitted that out loud. It feels like 12 steps to recovery here, but I love Larry Fitzgerald. The stat of the career for Larry Fitzgerald is he has more tackles than he has drops. I don't know if that says more about him as a wide receiver or the quality of quarterbacks who have been throwing interceptions that he's had to deal with over the time. But that to me just blows my mind. Again, on the political thing, John McCain's concession speech in 2008 is the most honorable thing you could ever see. It would make you proud to kind of be a human, let alone have any affinity or affection with America. Larry Fitzgerald is one of those absolute good guys and a fellow Arizonan who epitomizes that. So this year I'm going, do it for Larry, get him back to the playoffs since the first time, I think, since he had the greatest playoff performance of any wide receiver in history when he almost single-handedly brought them to the Super Bowl. And I can't go for the Bills. So, yeah, just do it for Larry. Get them there. Josh Allen, you're not playing the Seahawks this week. Cardinals to do it. 4.6 yards on average per rushing attempt the Bills are giving up. Kyler Murray averages 7.1 on his own. The Cards will take him.
No point asking you, is there?
This could be a shootout, but it won't be. It won't be a shootout. The Buffalo Bills are playing above all expectations this season, gentlemen. And if teams like the 49ers or, they're a couple of games back, the Rams or, hell, the Buccaneers were playing as good as the Buffalo Bills have been playing week in and week out, everybody would be going nuts over them and be saying, without a shadow of a doubt, oh, they'll win, no problem. No problem whatsoever. Bills by 10 in a defensive juggernaut performance from the Buffalo Bills.
Just because you mentioned the Bucs again, Michael, I didn't bring up my great Tom Brady stat, did I?
Go for it.
He just suffered his worst professional defeat in his history, but the two worst ones before that, do you know what they were? His two worst ones before that, 31-0 against the Bills back in 2003, and obviously the Monday night calamity against the Chiefs, 41-17, I think it was. They had two things in common. At the end of the year, his team won the Super Bowl, and he won the MVP in the Super Bowl. If you're a Bucs fan, you're clinging to anything, but you might be clinging to that one. So I want to give hope to all the Bucs fans to watch this.
Is there? I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like if we take the last, sorry, Brian, if we take the last 6 months out of the situation or the last 7 months out of the situation, are there any Buccaneers fans in Ireland? Were there any Buccaneers fans before February or March? I mean, yes, there was in like 2003, but
there's quite a few. There is quite a few. I know a few. Yeah, because they don't one in particular never leaves me alone. But anyway, he used to. So we go from there.
Do you know when you get to London games, guys? Though that was always what fascinated me. Like you would see all 32 jerseys there, but like I remember going to see a Pats Bucks game in London, and there were a number of Bucks fans. I was like, like you just asked, Mike. I was like, you really do exist. Oh, okay. Right.
Irish NFL show disclaimer: we love all 32 teams, and it's fantastic that there's Bucks fans in Ireland. I'm just taking the hand because I hate the Glazers as a United fan. Talking about teams and owners, and I mean Jed York, the 49ers 4-5, and they have been decimated, and they're going to the Superdome. Isn't that what Hulk Hogan called it, the Silverdome in WrestleMania? 6-2 Saints, 4-5 49ers. Colum, what's your take?
Kyle Shanahan has done a phenomenal job, as has John Lynch at the 49ers, and we picked Vance Joseph over Kyle Shanahan. Let's never ever forget that. But this is the 49ers B team up against the Saints, who have one player on the injury report. The Saints are back on track. They're in the Super Bowl. They everything is happy and rosy in the camp again all of a sudden, and they couldn't have asked for a kind of a nicer game to continue the role. So the Saints are winning this.
If you recall last year when the Saints played the 49ers, you could argue it was probably the game of the season that went into overtime. I think it turned out in the 40s for both teams. This could actually be one of the worst games of the season because 49ers just don't have a lot left. Their defense just can't seem to hold up now against attacking lineups such as the Packers last week and the Seahawks the week before. And I see it the same way. I can see the Saints putting up 30-odd points on them. I just don't think the 49ers offense can live with them. So, yeah, Saints to win comfortably.
Yeah, 48-46 last season. And the best that the 49ers can do this week is channel a bit of Celine Dion and pretend they're the Canadian Sean Chews and sing "It's All Coming Back to Me Now" and just reminisce back to last year. That's as good as it will get. The Saints will handle them comfortably. They got their mojo back last week. It will be very interesting to see if they can keep that momentum for the next few and move into pole position, not just in the NFC South, but in the NFC seeding this year, guys. First seed matters a lot, only by. So that's got to be on their minds.
The 49ers are 2 games ahead of the Giants.
I know.
Which is and it also shows you as well that even with a decimated injury team, that Colum, they're 4-5. Like, what's the Broncos record? 3-6? 3-5. I don't want to get ahead of myself for today, but I agree with what Brian said there. 37-14.
It's hard to say the Saints not putting up those kind of numbers on.
It's not going to happen. Now, here's the thing, and there's an argument here. You know the way that Sky Sports have got like 1 million channels, and they've got all these channels, and they put the same thing on the channels and stuff. You know, the Seahawks are playing the Rams at 9:25. The Seahawks are 6-2, and the Rams are 5-3. Now, albeit the game is at the new Cronkyland Stadium, but I mean, this is a good game. Colum, what do you reckon?
This is should be a very, very good game. My favorite stat about this is that Sean McVay is 4-2 in his career against Pete Carroll. Anyone who beats Pete Carroll consistently, I enjoy. The new defensive coordinator has done a decent job there. And look, McVay, I mean, for the Seahawks, who have no defense, just it's embarrassing. Like we talked last week in terms of they're on track to set all sorts of records, and it only got worse last week. I mean, God only knows what it'll be at the end of the season. If you're McVay, you're rubbing your hands. Expect Goff to throw the ball 60 times, just not to run it. Just run crossing routes, and pick up all sorts of yardage. Aaron Donald has sacked Russell Wilson 12 times. We know he feasts on QBs. He's feasted on Russell Wilson more than anyone else. And Russell Wilson is a special QB. But when Aaron Donald has the bit between his teeth and enjoys playing against somebody, that's worrying, because you can double team him and he can still get to the QB. So to me, there will be points in this, but I think the Rams win this.
Yeah, McVay's just seemed to have the Seahawks number 4. For the last 5 games they've played, they've won, and that 5th game was actually a missed field goal to win the game. But for me, the Rams just don't convince me. Their 4 wins against the NFC East. We all know what we think of the NFC East. And the 5th one was against the Bears on that Monday night, where the Bears offense can't do anything. So you could challenge it that they just haven't beaten anybody to note this year. And I wasn't high on them at the start of the season. Still not convinced by them. I think the Seahawks will bounce back after last week's tough loss against Buffalo and win the game.
Brian called it out the other week. Certain teams match up really well against others, like the Giants and Washington was the comparison you were giving. The Rams used to beat the Seahawks when the Seahawks semi-dynasty was at its peak, and they had Jeff Fisher coaching them, for Christ's sake. The Rams have always just had that weird little number and relationship with them. Sometimes when on special teams, sometimes with Aaron Donald taking over a game. I agree with Brian that they haven't beaten anyone yet. And the games they've lost have been very much like the Dolphins game, where offensively they've been found out in some respects by a strong defense taking away their staples. Which, to be fair, ever since the Super Bowl, McVay and Goff, and probably more Goff than McVay, need to be able to show they have a plan B, they have a plan C, they can innovate. However, they are playing the worst defense in the National Football League. The Seahawks are on historic proportions of the yards they give up, and I will back the Rams to just get one more play and one more drive and do enough. But it'll be fun as hell.
I agree with these two gentlemen. I thought that was going to work properly, but it didn't. These two gentlemen. I think the Rams will win. And I think it goes down to what Mark said at the start of the show. There's no real consistency in the NFC. There's no real leader. And I think if they do win today, it brings another team into the mix at the top of the NFC. I like Jared Goff, but I love Cooper Kupp. So even if he doesn't run the ball column, it would be lovely to see him just thrown the ball about 10 different times. I think the Rams will win. I think it'll be tight. I think the Rams will win. Lads, we've only got a limited amount of time after this broadcast. We've got about 9 minutes left, okay? Now, can we all agree without talking about it? Okay, let's try and wrap it up then. Without talking about it, the Bengals are going to lose, yeah, against the Steelers. I mean, come on. Like.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Big Ben owns Ohio.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
the Ravens,
Big Ben is back.
Oh, lads. Oh, my God. The Ravens are playing the Patriots.
Sorry, someone's at the door, guys. Sorry.
Well, look, I'll tell you what. I'll just shout who I think will win that and by how much, and then we'll go through. Colum, I think Ravens by 21.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'd quite go with that, but the Ravens probably the best running team in the league at the moment. Patriots unable to defend the run. That's a bad matchup. That's a really bad matchup. And I had said last week that I thought the Belichick was going to throw the game against the Jets, and they almost did. And now they're facing up against the Ravens. For me, the Ravens are going to win this one.
Cam hasn't shown a touchdown in 4 games. I think that's a record since 1975. Good old Jim Plunkett. Mark, remember him. And the Ravens are going for 11 away wins in a row. There's only one winner here. Ravens all the way.
Now, Mark, the floor is yours.
One of my favorite poems of all time is Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. And you'll recall that in the Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri talks about the 9 circles of hell. And there's a sign above hell as you enter. It says, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter." This is actually the story of the Jets, because the Jets' entire franchise has abandoned hope, all ye enter. The Jets' franchise is in the middle of the circle of hell. They're so worried that they're still going to screw up the Lawrence pick somehow, some way, because they have equally, while they're not putting great talent on the field, their administration, their executive team, they're so incompetent and dysfunctional. They make the Cork County Bald look like the bloody Waltons, for Christ's sake. And yet, with all of that going on, last week, the Patriots made the Jets look competent. They made them look like an actual football team. And for that reason, the Patriots are in their worst slump that they've been in, not for 20 years, probably for about 50 years. Cam is not the answer. 2 touchdowns is all he's thrown for. The Ravens are going to run and run and run some more, and they will walk this game. That is my mock of the week.
Well, the Patriots are about as competent as the Northern Ireland executive. Finally, Monday night, nobody got that joke. That just shows you how good Northern Ireland is
Yeah.
as a government at the minute. That was a joke lockdown. Okay, everybody finds it funny up here. So I hope everyone's watching this up here. Vikings hi everyone. Vikings at the Bears. Really quickly, that's one word answer. Who's going to win? Why? Go.
Dalvin Cook, Vikings, they'll win it.
Vikings 3-5 against the Bears 5-4, but the Vikings are going in a better direction than the Bears are. So yeah, I agree. I think Dalvin Cook will run all over that Bears defense. Vikings for me.
Vikings 3-5, the only 3-5 team that will ultimately end up making the playoffs. Dalvin Cook and the Vikings are back, and they will win this week.
I love how the last word is with me again today. 4 touchdowns, 285 yards, 35 yards rushing. Nick Foles. The Bears will win. Lads, I hope everybody has a good week. We're going to do a Madden giveaway separately. Don't worry about that there. Guys, thanks very much. Enjoy the week, yeah?
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
enjoy the games, guys. Thank you.
Keep it